Welcome to the QPS Delaware DMPK facility located in Newark, Delaware. The department consists of 33 full-time employees with expertise in various aspects of DMPK, including candidate selection studies such as pharmacokinetics, protein binding, metabolism, in vitro drug-drug interaction studies such as CYP inhibition, CYP induction, transporter assays, including hepatic uptake, efflux, and SLC transporters. In addition, our expertise includes radiolabel studies such as mass balance, biliary excretion, QWBA, metabolite identification, and profiling. Facility is ALAC accredited and NRC licensed for use of radiochemicals such as tritium, C14, P32, and I-125. The DMPK facility houses a vivarium with focus on rats and mice. The in-life facility is monitored 24/7 for temperature and humidity using the Reese monitoring system. There are multiple designated animal rooms in the vivarium for study conduct. We are walking into one such room that has been set up for a study start. On your right are the metabolism cages set up for urine, feces, and bile collection for mass balance and biliary excretion studies. Shoeboxes straight ahead are set up for QWBA. Crash cart is set up with stir plate for drug formulation, balances for syringe and sample weights, and the computer for entering data in DEBRA, a LIMS system utilized for recording and tracking various activities of in vivo studies. And finally, a second cart that is set up for blood collection. For QWBA studies, at predetermined time points based on study protocol, animals are anesthetized, frozen, blocked in 2% CMC. Frozen block is then sectioned using the Leica microtome. These sections are eventually wrapped in plastic wrap and inserted in a cassette for exposure. The exposed panel is then scanned using the phosphorimeter that helps generate radioactive tissue concentrations for tissues and organs of interest. As we move through the vivarium, we enter into the cage wash area where equipments such as metabolism cages are sanitized after study completion and in preparation for use for the next study. As we make our way through the vivarium, here is the surgical suite, which is utilized when any required surgeries are performed on animals to either prep them for a study or at the end of a study. Making our way out of the vivarium, we walk to the freezer farm that houses -20 and -70 freezers for sample storage. These freezers are also monitored 24/7 by the Reese monitoring system and are powered by a backup generator to maintain the integrity of test samples in the event of a power failure. As we make our way down the corridor to the back of the facility, we pass the formulation lab. As a first step of any study requiring animal dosing, test articles, radio-labeled and cold, are required to be formulated into a suitable vehicle as defined in the study protocol. This step occurs in the formulation lab. As we move along the hallway, to the back of the facility, we prepare to enter into the heart of the radioactive lab. Prior to dosing into animals, purity of the formulation for the radio-labeled test article is determined using an HPLC UV radio detector system. Radioactive samples collected from different types of studies such as mass balance, biliary excretion are then processed using the Packard sample oxidizers, and radioactivity counts are determined using the Perkin-Elmer tricarb liquid scintillation counters. As we make our way back down the hallway into the in vitro protein binding lab. Protein binding is used to determine free fraction and free concentration of the drug using different methodologies such as equilibrium dialysis, using the Harvard apparatus, RED, HT96, and methodologies such as ultrafiltration and ultracentrifugation. We then move into the wet lab or the sample processing lab, where biological samples are extracted using different techniques such as protein precipitation, liquid-liquid extraction, solid phase extraction, using semi-automation, using the TomTec liquid handling system. As you can see, the yellow lights are currently on in the lab for processing of samples containing light-sensitive test articles. The samples processed in the wet lab are then finally analyzed using the LC-MS systems in the mass spec labs. The mass spec lab is equipped with AB-SCIEX mass spectrometers and Shimadzu LC systems. The API 4000 triple quads are primarily used for studies requiring quantitation of small molecule test articles. The 5600 top high-res mass spec is primarily used for the quantitation of large molecules such as oligonucleotides and double-stranded RNA. And the 6600 top high-res mass spec is primarily used for metabolite identification and profiling studies. We have an additional mass spec lab housing API 4000s and one API 5500 Q-trap instrument. All of these instruments are also primarily used for studies requiring quantitation of small molecule test articles. This essentially ends our tour of the QPS Delaware DMPK facility. We look forward to your visit in the near future.